Hey Gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Corey, and this is the 2023 Subaru Crosstrek in the Sport trim. Now, we have tested both of the Wilderness Edition in the Forester and the Outback here on the channel, and while that does not come on the Crosstrek, this Sport model is about as close as it comes. All right, before we get too far into this one, I do want to thank Jeremy Jones and the team at Pelche Subaru here in Tyler, Texas for loaning me this vehicle to test for you today. If you are in the East Texas area looking for a new Subaru or anything pre-owned, go and hit up Pelche Subaru. I'll put a link to their website down in the description below. But while we're up front here, we can talk about what motivates this small little Subaru. It has the 2.5 liter boxer 4-cylinder under the hood, making a little over 180 horsepower, and a little over 170 pound-feet of torque. And it is plenty peppy for this small little crossover, I guess is what you would call it, but not a whole lot to brag about here. This is mated to a continuously variable transmission, which is not the best. You definitely feel it when driving this at any sort of sporty intention. You can definitely feel the CVT-ness and that kind of rubber band feeling that CVTs are known for. This does have Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive, meaning this actually does put power down to all four wheels, which means I'm in the ideal location for this little Subaru. Given that this is the Sport trim and not the Wilderness Edition, because there is not one on the Crosstrek, you don't get any of the bronze, copper, whatever Subaru wants to call that accent color on the Wilderness Edition. Don't get any of that up front, but you do see you've got your halogen lights, and then you've got this textured black plastic up front that very much mimics all of the Wilderness Edition vehicles we've tested from them so far. Moving to the side of the Crosstrek Sport, you do get these dark wheels that go pretty well with the dark exterior paint on my tester here, and definitely give it a more rugged appearance. Even though these tires are not the most off-road capable, they'll do the job. Taking a step back, again, not being a full-fledged Wilderness, you do get Wilderness-inspired cladding here above both of the wheel wells that, again, just like up front, is textured and is not solid black. So it does steal a lot from its bigger siblings in the Forester and the Outback, but this one is not actually a Wilderness model. You can really see its tight, compact proportions, and this really is a good size for heading out to a campsite or hitting the trails, because overall its proportions are small enough you can get into some places that much larger vehicles wouldn't even dare to tread. This really is a fun, compact little car. Moving inside, you get their StarTex water repellent seats that are, well, interesting to me because I really love the two-tone. I love the yellow Crosstrek stitching on the back of the backrest right here, but the textures change the further into the seat you go. So out here, it really does mimic more of a durable vinyl or even a leather. But in here in the center where it's going to get the most wear, it is really soft and almost feels like maybe it'd be very easy to damage in the long term. So it'd be interesting to see how these seats last over the long haul. They are heated with high and low on the heat position right here. You do get a nice, decent sized storage cubby right here. And then honest to goodness, actual handbrake for having a little bit of fun right here. I really like that. This one does have the 8-inch Starlink infotainment up here, which for this size vehicle is actually really good. I will knock the rear view mirror right here because while it is very nicely sized and allows me to see behind me very well, all of the safety tech and the eyesight cameras up here don't allow you to adjust it with one hand. It is definitely a two-handed operation every time you need to adjust the mirror even just slightly. So that's a little bit of a knock there. Very easy to use manual AC controls, which I find very interesting. You get a very old school kind of Casio watch display up here above the infotainment that gives you all the readouts for the controls here. You do get a push button start here, so I really like that modern feature. I'm going to turn the air down just a little bit. It is warm today, 97 degrees, again up on that Casio readout, but a really fairly nice interior. All the materials in here feel upscale. You get a nice rubberized dash with some imitation stitching here that goes throughout. And this is again where you get kind of that knockoff Wilderness Edition feel in here. While you do get some accents in here, they aren't the bronze, copper, whatever the marketing term Subaru has for their Wilderness Edition, but you get this kind of anodized yellow that looks really nice and is all the stitching as well as the stitching here on the back of the seat. Gives it a nice contrast again with these two-tone gray seats. It's not a dark cabin in here, which is really nice. And this one does have a power operated sunroof, even though it is, again, a little small. It's not a big panoramic unit, but it definitely gets the job done. Very nice seating position up here as well. I can get very comfortable. I'm 5'10", and the tilt and telescoping wheel can be put in just the right situation here. Manual seats on this sport model as well, so no memory seats, none of that luxury stuff in this particular model. But once you get a good seating position, which I have here, you're good to go. Let's see what that back seat is like. Hopping in the back seat of the Subaru Crosstrek, you would imagine, given its small size, that there wouldn't be a lot of room back here. Sitting behind myself at 5'10", I'm actually quite good. And the seat bottom is not too firm. It is a little on the firm side, but not too hard. The seat back is actually a good pitch because, well, it's fixed in place. It's either here or folded flat, which this is actually a fairly comfortable position here. No fold down center armrest, which is a little bit of a knock. No climate or anything back here. No power back here. You are kind of in no man's land back here, but at a $28,000 starting point for this model and 32 window sticker as this one sits, it's about par for the course nowadays. Because you don't have a panoramic roof, you get plenty of headroom back here. So again, space is nice. Get more of the materials up front. I didn't even mention the carbon fiber look here on the plastic trim here. It's actually rather nice. And then a rather large button for your power rear windows, but fairly Spartan back seat here. And then I will hop out and show you the seats are 60-40 split, with the 40% being here on the driver's side, and you don't get a completely fold flat rear seat. It does a fairly good job, but there is a little bit of a lip going from the cargo area to here. But if you had pets and just wanted a nice area for pets, that would be good here. And if you just have a bunch of dirty gear from a long camping trip, this is a good place to throw it in and store it as well. Another interesting note, while these seats fold very easily, the only way to actually fold them down is grabbing the latch right here on the side and folding them here from the side. Moving to the back, I don't want to forget that the Sport does get these roof rails as well as a rear mounted spoiler back here and some bright work on the Sport trim. Typical Crosstrek back here. You do get on this one, not being a full-fledged base model, but also not being top of the line, a manual operated hatch, which gives you plenty of access back here to, on this model, a rugged rubber floor mat that goes even up the backs of the seats. Really allows you to throw anything and everything back here. This one does have an accessory net, and this would really be good for loading up a bunch of dirty gear back here in the back and then just slamming it closed. But let's get back in that driver's seat and see how this thing drives. If you've been in a Subaru Crosstrek lately, you've been in this one. Not a whole lot has changed, but that doesn't mean it's not just a little bit of fun, because its small, playful size means that you can take it places most other vehicles, much larger vehicles, can't even dare to go. And with that boxer engine, it's got plenty of power to get you down the road, as long as you can get past this CVT that's basically between you and the wheels. Get it out into civilized territory, and it's a good compact little car. It's actually very well put together. It's not too rattly. It doesn't feel cheap inside. It feels very solid and very well put together. There's a lot to like about the interior of this. I did mention this has the 8-inch Starlink infotainment, which is really perfect in a vehicle this size, and its angle is just a little too far back because I am getting a lot of reflection from the sun and that open sunroof there. That makes it a whole lot better. Driving dynamics in here, again, it's a small lifted hatchback, and it feels like that. It's a little wallowy when you turn. The turn in isn't sports car crisp, but this isn't a sports car. The CVT takes a while to get wound up and then feels like a rubber band when you really just want to go. So there are some things that aren't so great with this one. And yes, this does have engine start stop in it, which doesn't really last long in the heat of an East Texas summer. So there are wins and losses with this one for sure. I really like the climate controls, very easy to use and turn up and get really cool. But let's see what this thing is like when you get going. Yeah, it's a CVT. And really, that's the only knock about it. It does have a manual mode that gives you 8 synthetic gears that you can use with these flabby paddles. But for the most part, it's a CVT. And it's geared to get you the best fuel economy, which on this one is 29 mpg combined. That's nothing to sneeze at when you have a fun little car that can take you to many different campsites. And that's really what this thing is good for. Subaru is partnered with the national parks, and they really want you to take a Crosstrek to go visit them all. And this would be a very good vehicle to do it in, especially if there are just 2 of you. You fold down the back seats, load it up with all your gear, and you're good to go. Even if you do have 4 people, you can still get a decent amount of gear back there in the back. But being a compact hatchback, you are pushing it with 4 people and luggage for all 4 of them. This really is a 2+2 more than it is a 5-seater overall. Again, I mentioned the seats. They're comfortable, but I do wonder how long this interior portion is going to last. It just feels very thin and very easily scratched or damaged, or just not the best, most rugged. Although Subaru does claim they are water repellent. So again, speaking to what Subaru wants you to do in this, let's go out and have an adventure. This really would be a good commuter vehicle as well. I drive a vehicle in the same size class in a 2013 Chevy Cruze, and it's about like this. This is definitely more well built and is a little noisy on highway roads, but again, I think that goes to those Geolandar tires, which have a little more off-road intention than your typical road-worthy tire would. But the visibility out of this is actually very good. You've got the eyesight system to help make sure you've got extra eyes on the road all the way around you, and Subaru is known for their safety tech. So you can rest assured that you're going to be fairly safe behind the wheel of this one. Turning radius, because it is a small car, is actually really tight, which speaks again to being able to take this on trails that other vehicles wouldn't even dream of. This really is a fun, playful little car that you can get into a lot of fun spaces, either on road or off, and will definitely put a smile on your face if you're lucky enough to pick up one from a Subaru dealership near you. Well, that about does it for my time here with this 2023 Subaru Crosstrek Sport. It really does its best impression of its bigger siblings in the Forester Wilderness and Outback Wilderness, even though, at least for now, we don't get a Crosstrek Wilderness. With a little bit of extra ground clearance, those Yokohama Geolandars, and that contrasting yellow on the inside, it lets you know that you're definitely in something a little bit special than your typical Crosstrek. And with that fuel-sipping 2.5 liter under the hood, this may be the best vehicle to cross the US and trek to all the national parks, because that's what this vehicle is really good for. Load up the back with gear, camping gear, whatever the case may be, and hit the trails, because this is a really fun little hatchback from Subaru. And at $32,000, it won't exactly break the bank either. Again, if you are interested in this or anything else from the Pelche Subaru lot, be sure and check them out with the link down in the description below. If you want to see more from us, be sure and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you're notified every time a new video drops. You can find out what we're driving before it is here on YouTube by finding us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, all at GT Garage Shock. You can find our award-winning podcast at gtgarageshock.com. Wherever you get your podcasts, just search for GT Garage Shock. As for me, I'm gonna go enjoy this out in the woods just a little bit more. Bye. While they may not be offering the much coveted Wilderness Edition, this may be the closest you could get on this fun little Subi. I don't like any of that. Is that even level? Are you even level right now? There we go.
Viewers want to race?
Let's do it.